Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode in the Max Rebo Music Theory course.
Hit it, Max.
In the last lesson, we learned to read notes in bass clef and treble clef, our two primary clefs for reading pitches. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'm going to put the link in the top right corner and the description down below because this will make a lot more sense once you have an understanding of that bass and treble clef. The word Grand gets used in Star Wars to represent important people like Grand Moff
We
Tarkin
will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
and Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Leading up to this moment has been rehearsal. The real performance is about to begin.
We also have the Grand Plan, which was the eradication of the Jedi Order. In each example, the word is used to highlight an importance. And that is also going to be the case today as we look at the Grand Staff, a device that allows us to look at everything in music all at once. As a quick reminder though, bass clef is where we place our lower pitches. The lines represent the notes G, B, D, F, and A. The spaces are therefore A, C, E, and G. The treble clef then is where we place our higher pitches. The lines represent E, G, B, D, and F. The spaces therefore are F, A, C, and E, spelling the word face. Now let's actually go back to where these pitches actually are on the piano because that's going to help us understand the purpose of the Grand Staff. On the keyboard, the bottom line of the bass clef is this G, and the top line is this A. The rest of the lines and spaces in the bass clef staff represent all of the other white keys in between. For treble clef, the bottom line is this E on the keyboard, and the top line is this F on the keyboard. And again, all of the other lines and spaces represent the other white keys in between on the keyboard. So now we're going to go just a little bit higher on the bass clef and a little bit lower on the treble clef in order to make these two staves connect. As we go above the top line of the bass clef, we can imagine that there is another space there. This space would be the next B, and even after that B, we can continue to move. In order to do this, we add an extra line just whenever we need one called a ledger line. These ledger lines help us to extend the range of a staff in the most visually clear way. So, as I move above that B on the space, I would add a single ledger line, and that note would then be this C on the keyboard. This additional construction could technically go on forever in either direction, but for now, I'm only going to add this single ledger line. Now let's do the same thing with the treble clef. As we go to the space below the bottom line of the treble clef, this space would be taken up by the note D. And again, if I add a ledger line below where D is, I would be placing the note C on that ledger line. And this is where we begin to see an overlap and a connection between these two staves. One ledger line above the bass clef is the same C as is one ledger line below the treble clef. This C is actually perfectly between these two clefs, and so we give it the name middle C. But because we can actually see a connection between these two clefs, we're able to put them together, treble clef and bass clef, into one grand staff. So that's the grand staff and how it can be read, along with how we can use ledger lines to extend the actual range of a single stave. Much of the music that we look at as musicians will actually utilize the grand staff because of its versatility, so it's a good thing to master before we go any further. And I encourage you to practice this on your own as well to help translate the music you see. My next video will discuss octave numbers in the grand staff, but let me know if you have any questions about the grand staff or ledger lines in the meantime. And as always, may the be with you.